It's Beis Menachem. We're learning Rabbi Paltiel Dalet, chapter 4. Okay, halacha gimel. Okay, now this is measurement. Okay, this is measurement. It's all this is. It's numbers. So there, when you have a three-dimensional object, you're going to have 3 dimensions, right? Top to bottom, east to south, and north to west. And the Rambam is going to count each one of these 3 dimensions. We're just going to measure the areas of the Beis Hamikdash. We're not going to explain what they are. We're going to measure them. Halacha Gimel. Ha'heichal shabanu b'nei goyla. Perek Dal halacha Gimel. The Beis Hamikdash built by the pilgrim who came back by Bayis Sheni. Hayameya amo, al meya amo, al rum meya. It was a cube. 100 amos east to west. 100 amos north to south, and 100 amos top to bottom. Now I want to say a couple of things before we proceed. You'll see them inside later, but I want to say them now. Number one, it was meant to be a cube, but it wasn't a perfect cube. Why was it not a perfect cube? Because there's a pasuk that says that the Beis Hamikdash is called Ariel, Aleph Reish Yud, Aleph Lamed, Ariel Lamed, Ariel, a lion. And the Gemara says, the Chazal say that an Ariel, a lion, is rochov milfonov and tsar milacharav. It's wide in the front and narrow in the back. So, according to most opinions, the Beis Hamikdash was actually shaped like a T. You don't have this picture. But I gave this picture out in previous weeks. You see, this is how the Beis Hamikdash looks. Look at the most Rishonim. So the front is wider. You could see the front is wider. This was 100 amos across. This is only 70 amos across. But the Rambam is the exception to this opinion. The Rambam does not agree. The Rambam says the Beis Hamikdash was actually a cube, a box. 100 amos this way, 100 amos this way, 100 amos this way. But because of this pasuk Ariel, they made it a little narrower in the back than in the front. But a little doesn't mean 15 amos or 5 amos. It means a few centimeters. Because the Rambam held that the Beis Hamikdash was a cube. 100, 100, 100. That's number one. And then there's number 2. The Beis Hamikdash had a very, very big foundation. You'll see the foundation is going to be mentioned inside in a moment. It was 6 amos on the ground. So when you looked at it above the surface of the earth, it didn't look like a cube. It looked at it was a little less top to bottom than it was east to west and north to south, because included in the cheshbon of the 100 amos is also what was under the ground. So I'm going to repeat what I just said a second time. The Beis Hamikdash, according to the Rambam, was shaped like a cube. A cube. The same in all 3 dimensions. There are 2 anomalies, 2 aspects of inexactitude as far as that is concerned. Number 1, since the Beis Hamikdash is called Ariel, a lion, it was a little bit wider, according to the Rambam, just a little bit wider in the front than it was in the back. And number 2, since 6 amos of foundation, of rock, were under the ground, you didn't see 100 amos of height. You saw only 94 amos of height, which may have made it appear less than a cube, but it was actually a cube. Now, you need this. That's what you need. Not this, this. Not all of you have this, because I made more copies of this than of this. There are 10 of these floating around. You need this. You have it? Here are some more. Okay. I feel like the Harry teacher. This is from last year. Take one and pass them around. I have so many old copies. I finally decided this year that I'm going to collect a copy and then I'm going to make a booklet version. So next year I'll give you a whole booklet. You get 2 booklets. So I won't have to worry about pictures. You need this page. What this is the 100 amas of the Beis HaMikdash, bottom to top. Okay, now here you have an A through M. The pictures that are full, you can't see it, but those who just got the smaller copies, you actually have a better view. Am I correct? Okay, here we go. You're going from bottom to top. V'chein hoisa midas rumay. This is the measure of the height of the Beis HaMikdash. Banu goiva sheish ames otum sosum. There were 6 ames that were sealed and solid. K'mo yisoid loy, like a foundation. That was subterranean. And that's this little space here. If you're holding this picture, that's right here. Okay, that's this. 6. Above this 6 amas is this. This is 40 amas. That's the height of the room of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, if we're going to be liberal, let's say an amma is 20 inches. It's 19, and it's a little more than 19. It's 20 inches. That means every amma is an amma and 2/3. So how much is 40 times 1 2/3? 40 times 1 2/3. Who are our mathematicians? If you divide 40 by 3, it's 13 1/3. So it's 26 2/3 plus 40 is 66 2/3 feet. Approximately 66 2/3 feet was the height of the room. I think that's bigger than 770. I think it's considerable. It was very, very tall. 40 amas. Then we continue. Verum hakir shabatikra amma. There was an amma of kir. Kir really means a decoration. It was in the interior of the house. It was the decorative around the edges and so on. V'al gabav gave shtei ames panoi, and above that there were 2 empty ames. Sheikonas bayadlaf for drainage, for water that would collect to be able to have a place to drain. V'huanikra Beis Dilfa, that's called Beis Dilfa, house of drip. Why you need 2 amas of drainage? 2 amas of drainage, like 39 inches of drainage, I have no idea. V'evei atikra shal gabe Beis Dilfa amma, the ceiling above the Beis Dilfa was an amma. U'maziva goiva amma, and the floor was another amma. In other words, between the first floor and the second floor, you had 5 amas. So if you're looking at your picture, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You understand? This is 6 right here. This is 40. 1 amma is the ceiling or the kier. 2 amas is the empty space for drainage. The floor above that is an amma. And remember, an amma is 19 inches. That's a big floor. And then the finished floor for the second story was again an amma. So if you can count, you have 6 and 40 is 46, and 1 is 47, and 2 is 49, and 1 is 50, and 1 is 51. Till here, you have 51 amas. Let's keep reading. Va'aliyah b'nuya al gabav, there was a second story built on top of the first story. Goiva kaisleha arboyim amma, the walls of the second floor again were 40 amas. There was a huge empty room. Really, it was a huge empty room. There was no storage up there. There was no visitation. There were no tours. It was an empty room. Who needed the aliyah? I don't know who needed the aliyah. I've never seen an explanation what the aliyah was for. In Svara, in Das Tachten, in Balbatish, the only reason they made a second floor is because they wanted the Beis HaMikdash to be very tall. It's a pasuk that we learned it earlier. L'reimem is Beis Halakenu. One of the things that you're instructed to do to the Beis HaMikdash is to make it very high. And it was not possible, I'm imagining, to make a floor without any supports. bigger than the one they made it. So they made 2 floors, but the second floor, I don't know any uses for that second floor. The only use we know is they went up to the second floor to be lowered down into the first floor to do work, to repair it and to sustain it. Only Kohanim could go into the first floor. And only the Kohen Gadol on Yom Kippur can go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. They had to paint it, they had to clean it, so they would let people down through these little windows, these little box, and they would lower them down into the Kodesh HaKadoshim so they could do their work. But it was a gigantic second floor at Aliyah that, as far as I know, it didn't have much practical use. And we read on. So how much was it? 51 plus 40 is 91, correct? And we read on. Obana gave a amakir. Again, there was a ceiling or a decoration, another am. V'amasayim gave a base dilfa. There was another 2 amas that was for drainage. V'amatika, there was an amma above that for the ceiling. V'amaziva, then there was a roof an amma. V'geva ha'maika shalosh amas, there was a fence around the Beis Hamikdash. The Beis Hamikdash was a house, right? People lived there. Who lived in the Beis Hamikdash? Adam Eliyah, right? So kitivne bayis chodesh v'asisa makal and ageka. Applied to the Beis Hamikdash also. The Beis Hamikdash had a flat roof, so it needed to have a fence around it. The mitzvah saseh. It was 3 amas tall. 3 amas is a 5-foot fence. It's a pretty tall fence. And then he says, "V'tas shel barzel k'meisayif." On the top of the roof, on the fence, they put. You see them a lot of times in the shops in Kingston Avenue. These strips of pokes sticking up, so the birds should not be able to rest. They had an amma. 19 inches of these spokes to keep the birds from resting. Sayif means little swords. Al gabi maika on the fence, savav around, kadesh la yenuchu alav ha'oifes, that birds shouldn't rest. V'hu anikra kala eid, it was meant to prevent birds from resting. Harei hakel meya amo, altogether it's 100. You want to do it again? Let's do it one more time. This is 6 and 4 is 46, and 1 is 47, and 2 is 49, and 1 is 50, and 1 is 51, and 40 is 91. And 1 is 92, and 2 is 94, and 1 is 93, and 1 is 94. I'm making a mistake. I got something wrong. 91, 92, 94. Okay, let's start again. 6 and 4 is 46, and 1 is 47, and 2 is 49, and 1 is 50, and 1 is 51, and 40 is 91, and 1 is 92, 2 is 94, 1 is 95, 1 is 96, 3 is 99, and 1 is 100. Okay, it's Pashat numbers. Boring, I'm not going to argue with you. Turn the page, I'll give you some more to say. Halacha Dalet. We're learning Rambam, Rabbi Isai. Now you have this side of the page. All of you have this. This side you all have. This picture you all have. Now again, I'm showing you that in the Rambam's model, it's a square. Most Rishonim Beis Hamikdash looks like this, right? In other words, this is the 2 Batei Mikdash side by side. The Rambam's is a square, everybody else is a T. Because most Rishonim held that only the front of the Beis Hamikdash was 100, the rest of it was only 70. So they have a very pronounced ariyah. The idea that the Beis Hamikdash was wide in the front and narrower in the back is very, very obvious. But the Rambam's ariyah is much more subtle. So let's read, okay? Min ha'mayriv lemizrach me'a'ama, from west to east is 100 amas. V'zeu cheshbonon, this is the cheshbon. Okay, now let me say one more thing to you. Okay, the Beis Hamikdash was flanked with rooms. All around the Beis were rooms, offices, rooms, cubbies, storage areas. They had all kinds of things that needed to be stored, and then all kinds of rooms for storage. Okay, all around the Beis Hamikdash there were rooms. So most Rishonim hold that on either side of the Beis Hamikdash there was whatever, 1 set of rooms or 2 sets of rooms, and incredibly thick walls. Okay, I don't know how this is going to work, but okay, cameras, I'm going out of sight. I'm sorry. Okay, I can't have this off. You see, according to most Rishonim, this is a wall. The wall is 6 amas thick. This is a wall. This is 5 amas thick. This is a wall, 6 amas thick. So how many spaces do you have? There's 2 empty spaces and 3 walls, correct? In the back you have 2 walls and one empty space. That's how most Rishonim understand. So all the rooms are here. All the rooms are here, all the rooms are here. Again, according to most Rishonim, this is a wall. This is another wall. The walls were incredibly thick. As thick as this room is. 5, 6 hours, massive wall. And only 2 spaces, and in the back only one. According to the Rambam, it's not true. According to the Rambam, you don't have 3 walls and 2 spaces. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 walls and 5 spaces. And in the back, you don't have 2 walls and 1 space. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 walls and 3 spaces. So it was the Rambam reads the same Mishnayos that everybody else reads, but everybody else reads them as walls. And the Rambam says that each wall was 2 walls plus a space. So according to the Rambam, you have a wall and a space, a wall and a space, a wall and a space. You see? A little wall space, little wall space, little wall space, little wall space, little wall space. So you end up having on either side, not 3 walls, but 5 walls, and 4 empty spaces rather than 2 empty spaces. And in the back, instead of having 2 walls in 1 space, you have 4 walls and 3 spaces. Now if I talk too fast, I get it. But it's not that important to think it through. The basic point you get is that I'm going to whole read the same Mishnayos. They're reading the same Mishnayos in Yiddish, and they're reading totally different things. How that happens, there's one word to the answer. It's called Rishonim. Rishonim means they have lichtike Augen. They look at the Torah and they see Beruach HaKodesh. So 2 Rishonim will never say the same thing. Rambam is reading the same Mishnayos, the same Chazal as everybody else, and he's reading it very differently. The Rambam does not envisage massive thick walls. Thin walls and spaces. Thin walls and spaces. The problem is, if you have a thin wall, how could it go up 100 amas without collapsing? You understand? That's part of the problem. So Mistama do a lot of supports. Only the Beis Hamikdash couldn't have supports. The interior of the house that they did the worship couldn't have, it couldn't look like 770. You know the old joke, Rabbi Shem Tov Zol brought a Greise Gvir to show him the big shul, and he says, Rabbi, when the room is finished, it's going to be gorgeous. Okay, what you don't know doesn't hurt you. So now we're doing Min HaMairev LeMizrach. Okay, Rabbi said this is Mairev here. I mean, you all have this page. There's enough for everybody to have. Mairev is where there's no entrance in the middle. This is Mairev. And I'm reading the Mishnah, I'm reading the Rambam, and we're going to do the numbers, okay? Min HaMairev LeMizrach, from west to east, Meya Amma, it's 100 cubits. V'zeu cheshbonon, this is the cheshbon. Arba ksolim zel lifnim, there's 4 walls, one inside the other. Ubeinayim shleisha b'kaimis pnuim, and between them there's 3 empty spaces. Now remember, according to other Rishonim, it's a wall, a space, and a wall. According to the Rambam, it's a wall, a space, a wall, a space, a wall, a space, a wall. Because all the thick walls that the other Rishonim talk, when I was a kid, I learned in yeshiva. So I learned Mishnayos Midas. Our teachers taught Mishnayos Midas, and it taught us according to the different Mefarshim. Then when I started to learn Rambam, I so much couldn't accept it. I literally avoided learning Rambam because I couldn't deal with the contradiction. But this is the Rambam's opinion. Bein hakeisel ha'ma'aravi ubein hakeisel shelefnim mimenu chamish ames. Between the westernmost wall and the wall nearest it is 5 ames. 5 ames is about 8 feet. 7 feet. Now remember, when you say there was a wall and a space and a wall is 5 ames, you're including in that space the wall plus the area. 5 ames accounts for the outer wall and the space and the second wall. And we keep reading. And between the second wall and the third wall is again 5 ames, including the inner wall. Ubein koisel sheni ushlishi sheish ames, between. So you're looking at your picture, yeah. This is 5. This is 5. Ubein koisel sheni ushlishi sheish ames. I must have read it twice. Here is 5. Here is 6. Ben koisel shei, between the second wall and the third wall is 6 ames. Uben kaisel shlishi revi, between this wall is again 6. So you have 5 and 6 and 6. 5 and 6 and 6 is how much? 17. Yeah? You have a wall and a space 5. A wall and a space 6. A wall and a space 6. 6 and 6 is 12, 12 and 5 is 17. We're good? This is not complicated. Then he continues. Ve'elo hamides, these measurements of 5, 6, and 6, hein shel oivei ha'koisel im ha'mokem ha'ponoi sheben shtei kaisolim. The measurements I just gave you, says the Rambam, it includes both the spaces and the walls together. From here to here is 20 cubits, 20 amas. So 17 and 20 is 37. By the way, the Kedesh HaKadoshim was a square. And in this picture, it's not a square. I don't know why. But okay, that's not my department. So it's 17 and 20 is 37. Then he continues. And this area here is one more amma. We talked about this yesterday. This was called Amotraxin. In the first Beis Hamikdash, they had a wall. In the second Beis Hamikdash, they added an amma and they put two curtains. One curtain opened on one side, the other curtain opens on the opposite side. And when the Kohen Gadol went into the Kedesh HaKadoshim, he went in here and he came out over there. That's one amma, so it's 38. And we read on. The length of the Beis Hamikdash is 40. 40 and 38 is 78. Okay? The eastern wall. Shabei Hashar, what the gate was in, its Sheish Amis, is 6. So 78 and 6 is 84. And by the way, the Rambam does not mention that this wall was hollow. So you can get the distinct impression that the eastern wall was taka solid. And I don't know what to do with that. The ulam was another 11. So 84 and 11 is 95. The eastern walls, the hallway's wall was another 5 amas. Nimta akel meya amas, altogether 100. I'm going to go over it one more time for points, okay? 5 and 6 is 11, and 6 is 17, and 20 is 37, and 1 is 38, and 40 is 78, and 6 is 84, and 11 is 95, and 5 is 100. Okay? You're welcome to interrupt me, by the way. But you can ask me questions. I can't imagine what you would ask, but you can ask me questions. I just have to tell you, I'm so happy that you're all here. That's all I have to say. The summer of quarantine is being misbatted. It's taken a while, but Baruch Hashem Sta'anelu. And Ariella gets help from this. Halacha hey. Min atzafin ledorim. From north to south. Again, Meya Amma. Now girls, remember again. All the other Rishonim have very thick walls. Moreover, if you look at this photo, look at this picture, in the front on this side, and the front of this side, you only have 15 amas. That's only in the very front. Here was empty. The Rambam has a square. So all this has to come all the way around. This is a very thick wall. 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 According to the Rambam, every thick wall is 2 walls. So count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Does that sound right? Yeah, maybe. We'll find out. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, there's a lot of spaces. Let's read. Maybe I'm off by 1. The thickness of the wall of the ulam. Let's say here, this is 5. And again, nobody tells us this outer wall was hollow or not, so I don't know. And here is 10. 5 and 10 is 15. The walls of the holy are Shisha Ksalim Zeliftim is 5 walls. And between them you have 2 empty spaces. Now understand, if these were 2 walls, my number 8 was actually correct. Yeah, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now either this is 7 or this is 7 and 8. But you have 6 walls and 5 spaces, and the Rambam gives you the numbers. Between the outermost wall and the second wall is 5. Between the second and the third is 3. There's 5 between the third and the fourth. Between the fourth and the fifth is 6. And between the fifth and the innermost wall is again 6. Nimtza kol arboim amitad. There's 40 on this side. From here to here is 40 amas. From here to here is 40 amas. This is 20. Here's the cheshbon. 5 and 10 is 15. Yeah? And 5 is 20. And 3 is 23. Start again. 5 and 10 is 15. And 5 is 20. And 3 is 23. And 5 is 28. And 6 is 34. And 6 is 40. The inner two spaces were 6. You have 6 and 6 and 5 and 3 and 5 and 10 and 5. So 5 and 10 is 15 and 5 is 20 and 3 is 23 and 5 is 28 and 6 is 34 and 6 is 40. From here to here is 40, from here to here is 40, in the middle is 20 is 100. Let's read it inside. V'arboim amo mitzad shekenegde. There's the same dimensions on the opposite side, 40 ames. V'reicha v'bayis mibefnim esrim. The area of the Beis Hamikdash is exactly 20. Haremeya amma. If you have 40 on this side, 40 on this side, 20 in the middle, 40, 40, and 20 is 100. Now, Rabbi said, I want to say one more thing. This is going to come up later, but I want to tell it to you now. Okay, one of the issues that they can't argue about, the Rambam and the other Rishonim, because it's an explicit Mishnah, is this thing called Ta'im. Ta'im means rooms, cubicles, cubbies. The Mishnah says they were Lamed Ches Ta'im. There were 38 Ta'im. 15 on one side, 15 on the other side, and 8 in the back. And there were 3 floors. So you look at this picture, all you have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 3 floors is 15. 1, 2, 3, 3 floors should be 9, but the top floor is only 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 times 3 is 15, right? But the Rambam doesn't do that. The Rambam doesn't say the 5 Tayim were like this. The Rambam says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The entire length of the Beis Hamikdash was 1 tall. So you have the same number of Tayim, but they're very, very differently distributed. According to the other Rishonim, these are the Tayim. They were relatively small rooms. And there were 3 floors of them. According to the Rambam, each space, the length of the house, is a toss. You have 5 across here, 5 across here, 3 across here, stacked 3 high. That's how you have the cheshbon of 38. Because in the back, the top floor was only 2 instead of 3. Okay, should I ask you if you understand? Or will I be disappointed? You follow? I'm trying to give you some sense of what's the difference between the Rambam and the other Rishonim. Let's read on. Halacha Vav. Ha-pishpish. Pishpish tightens the Rambam v'hu sharakot. This is a small little room. And I want you to know that there's some things that the Rambam says in this Peirik that are pashut impossible to understand. No, can you say keiner versteht nicht? Man kann nicht sagen keiner versteht nicht. Aber it doesn't make any common sense, pashut. Nobody understands what Rambam is trying to say. But let's keep reading anyway. Ushnei pishpishim hayu lahechel. There were 2 small entrances on either side of the Beis Hamikdash. Mitzidei hashar hagadol shebe'emtza, on either side of the great entrance in the middle. Echad b'tzafim ve'echad b'donim. One was in the south and one was in the north. One was in the north, one was in the south. So let's take a look at this picture. Okay. Here is the main entrance right here. Here is the main entrance. The pishpishim are here. The pishpishim are here. Okay? Now, again, this is again a machlokes between the Rambam and the other Rishonim. According to the other Rishonim, he would go into the pishpish and walk here. According to the Rambam, he would go in. The bottom line is, the Beis Hamikdash was open from the inside. That's the chap. They didn't open the front door from the inside. Somebody went in, snuck in through a side entrance, and the Beis Hamikdash were opened from the inside. A lot of the Rishonim said he would sneak in between the 2 walls and open the doors from here. You can see this picture on the right side of your image. If Mizrach is on the bottom and Mariv is on top, you have this. He would sneak in this way, come in through here, and open the doors from the inside. So the Beis Hamikdash doors in the front were not open from the outside; they open from the inside. Let's read. Shebet Darim, the one on the south, That means on the left side of the entrance. Lo nichnas by Adam me'elam, nobody ever went into. V'alav hu mufurash idei Yecheskel, the Navi says in Yecheskel, Hashar hazeh sago yeh lo yipasech, this gate is always closed. And it said that the Shechina was there. That the Shechina rested in this little side entrance on the side of the Ulam. Shebet Safim, the northern side, Beinich Nasim. That's how they entered in the morning. Umahalach ben Shnei Akson, they'd walk between the walls. Achamagir lemokem besuach l'kedesh, you would find an opening to the Beis Hamikdash, which was of course Mismaili, to his left. If you're walking on the right side of the Beis Hamikdash, and you're going from east to west, the entrance is going to be to your left. V'nichnaz ateicha heichel, he went into the interior of the Beis Hamikdash. Umahalach at Shara Godel, and he walked back to the great entrance. Upoischai, and he opened it. So every day, when the Kohanim, by the way, there's a whole, the Mishnah describes it, Rambam describes it in the later Prakim, but we never finish. We never get it. Hilchos Beis Habechirah is 8 Prakim. We learn 5, if we're lucky. There was a whole Seder at midnight, or whatever time it was, the Kohanim would wake up. And whoever was ready, they would start doing work. The first thing they did was they went around on a patrol, because there was Shemitah, the Beis Hamikdash had Shemitah, and they would go around to see if all the people were standing on Mishmartam and they hadn't fallen asleep. If a guy fell asleep, they would wake him up rather rudely. The Chazal say, Rishus hayalai lisreves ksusei. As they state, it was Ish Harabayis, he walked around that night. If you fell asleep, they could put your clothing on fire. It was no joke. You were not allowed to fall asleep. The 20 said, you check out the guards. Then they would go they would open up the doors, that keys, open up the Beis Hamikdash, and they would divide up into 2 groups, and they would circumnavigate the whole interior of the Beis Hamikdash. They would meet at a certain point, and they would say, Shalom, Hakel, Shalom. There were no Ganovim, nobody got in the middle of the night. It's peaceful. And then they would open the doors. And they would open the doors the way the Rambam just described. These front doors are closed. They went into a side entrance. You can see in this picture. They walked till here. I don't know why he made this over here. He could have made it here. They entered into the Heichal and they opened the doors from the inside. Okay? You are free to interrupt me if you choose. Otherwise, I will continue. I'm assuming it was covered abayis. Let's put it this way. You have a house, yeah. Mitzvah Hashem, God and Gichen, the schus of this here. You'll make a shidduch, and a good shah, you'll find yourself a chosen, and you'll make a house. And if you're home, and somebody comes and puts a key in your front door and unlocks the door and walks into your house, you're going to be not happy, even if it's your mother, as much as you love her. You knock on the door, and you wait for the people inside to let you in. Somebody lives in the Beis Hamikdash, and he's not away on vacation. He doesn't go on vacation. Atzim Muslim Hussein, the Eibishter, lives there. So you're going to come and open up his house? It only makes sense that somebody who's in the house, who's a shamis, who works Kayachol, with Atzim Muslim Hussein, Sav Baruch Hu, should open the door from the inside. Think about it, practically. It was covered abayis. It makes much more sense to open a home from the inside. The whole idea of opening a home from the outside means that nobody's home. In the Beis Hamikdash, there's nobody's home. This is just my hashara. I didn't see it in any sefer. I didn't hear it in any drasha. But that's my hashara. It's my guesstimation. Okay, the valley you got a bracha for shidduch, and I take it from a yad mamish. Okay, and all the rest of you. Now, good to show. There's only one rule. It should be forever. Mitzvah Hashem. Bonim b'nei bonim eiskim b'teira b'tchusay. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. I can't hear you. Oh, wait. It's not this halacha. You'll see. This one was not hard. Wait. Halacha Zayin. Hashar HaGodol. The great entrance. The great entrance to the Beis HaMikdash. Hayaroch by Eser Ames v'Govei Esmam. These doors were massive. You know what it means? 20 ames. That's like, it's what is it? 32 feet tall. Doors, 32 feet doors. And half of that is what? 16. The doors were 16 feet across. They were massive, massive doors. And a great entrance. The ulam, everything was double. The ulam, the entrance was 20 by 40. But the ulam didn't have a door. It was just open. It was a big opening. An invitation to come in. But the Beis HaMikdash had doors. Va'arbad losses hoyol, there were 4 doors. What's the cheshbon of 4 doors? Shtayim bifnim, shtayim bechutz. It was 2 sets of double doors. Why? The wall was 5 or 6 amas thick. I don't even remember anymore. 6 amas thick. So the doors, the first set of doors was at the outer edge of those 6 amas. The second set of doors was at the inner edge of those 6 amas. So you had 2 sets of doors separated by the area that was the width of the wall, the thickness of the wall. The outer doors opened 90 degrees, like this, from here to here, and they covered the walls behind them. The inner doors opened 180 degrees, like this. The outer doors open like this. The inner doors open completely like this. Now, why is this significant? The Rambam doesn't say it, but I learned it as a child from my Melamdim, because there was a halacha that if you could afford it, they made the walls of gold. And there are 2 halachas. One halacha is ein aniyas b'makom ashiris. If you have rich wealth, it has to be the best. On the other hand, it has to be maximum efficiency. You don't waste anything. So the areas behind the doors were not gilded. Why not? Because if the door was closed, nobody was inside. If the door was open, the gold of the doors served as the gilding of that piece of the wall. So that's why the Rambam describes so specifically how those doors open. The first set of doors opened like this. The second set opened all the way like this. Completely 180 degree turn. I'm sorry, you're saying. If what? No, but otherwise the gild would have been on the wall, not on the door. I actually have a picture of this, which I didn't give you. I'll try to give it out on Monday. Yeah. I don't have enough. Look at me with my pictures and my papers. I feel like a Harry teacher. I'll tell you a bottle. I have so many years of pictures. It's a Ma'aseh Asaf. I don't have enough. The wall behind it. So this one opens. Correct. Right. No, it's same amount of area. The doors were the same size. Right, so it covered the same amount of wall. The question is, look at the picture. Here, look at the picture. This size is the same as this size. Both sides are the same. So it covers this amount of wall. But you see the point. This was a 90 degree opening. It's 180 degree. Okay, I'll make these pictures for this for Monday. The next time we learn. Okay, let's go. Pischei shel ulam. Again, I'm guilty for not having pictures. The entrance to the Great Hall. Hayogaveya arboyim amma v'reicha vestim was 40 amas tall and 20 amas wide. V'lo yahayo sha'arim, it did not have any gates. V'chomesh malterias shel mila hayu al gabe pischei mal. There were 5 rows of decorative wood extending above the entrance to the ulam. The lowest one was 1 amma wider than the entrance. Each higher row was 1 amma wider on either side. So the highest was 30 ammas. There was a row of stones between each one. Now let me see if I can find more pictures. This is just not going to happen. Give me a second. If I have more pictures, I'll give them out. Right. Decorative molding. got 3. It's not fair. You can't learn. Now watch me shuffle through papers, right? I just didn't calculate how much we would cover. That's what happened. Oh, here's more. Here's more. Oh, we're in business. Very good. Okay, I don't have enough for everybody to take one, but I have enough if we can spread them around that everybody will be able to see. Can I bother you? Okay. The previous halacha is the top of the page, is this. Where he just depicts how the doors open. You see, if you're looking here, the outer doors opened 90 degrees. This 360 degrees, a complete circle. 90 degrees means a quarter of a circle, this way, like this here. These doors opened 180 degrees, a whole half a circle, and they blocked the doors from behind. Now, the other thing is this. Look, you see these? These are called malterias shel eitz. What happened was, Azoy, the ulam, the front of the Beis Hamikdash was a gigantic wall, right? The front of a very gigantic wall. The wall was 100 amas this way. It was a massive entrance. In the middle of the entrance, there was a huge opening. It wasn't a door. It was an opening. Oh, I don't know about that. No, the hinge was on the sides, not in the middle. He's just drawing, he's showing you the swing of the door, not the hinges. This is 100 amas across. This is 100 amas across, and this is the entrance. This entrance is very, very big. It's 20 amas wide. That means 32, 33 feet wide. It's 40 amas tall. It's between 66 and 67 feet high. It's a large opening. There's no door, it's just open. It was like an invitation. When you came into the Har HaBayis, you couldn't miss the ulam. It was very, very, very tall. It was very distinct. And it was an invitation. It was open. There was no door. Just a huge, huge opening. Okay, how big was the opening? 20 amas wide, 40 amas tall. Above this entrance, they put a decoration. The way they made the decoration was they had a row of stones, and then a piece of decorative wood, a row of stones, a piece of decorative wood, a row of stones, 5 times. The decorative wood was 1 amma wider than what was beneath it. So the width of the entrance is 20 amas. So the first decorative wood is 22. The second decorative wood is 24. The third decorative wood is 26. The fourth decorative wood is 28. The highest decorative wood is 30. And it was simply there, like you called it before, was a molding. It was meant to decorate the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, I think that was clear. I don't think that was so complicated. Am I right? Yeah, I'm sorry about not having the pictures. Halacha tes. I'm only going to start halacha tes because this we get to the part that nobody can make sense out of. Hahechal haya binyane rochav milafona v'tzar me'acheirav kamayari. The Beis Hamikdash was built wider in the front and narrower in the back like a lion. Now, to most Rishonim, it's very obvious. It's shaped like this, a T. But not to the Rambam, you see? Not to the Rambam. According to the Rambam, it was a cube. So this expression, Rochav Milfon V'tzam, was it was a small little margin. It was a very, very small amount. But the fact remains that it was wider in the front and narrower in the back. Now, Yitziyim. Now this gets very tricky. Because the Rambam's model of the Beis Hamikdash does not account for the Yitziyim. It's a funny thing, this whole business with Yitziyim. It's a pasuk in Sefer Melachim. The Bayit Rishon had Yitziyim. And Bayit Sheni also had Yitziyim. I can't understand why it's such a big deal, but the Psukkah make a big deal out of it, and the Halacha makes a big deal out of it. The bottom line is this. If you want to build several floors, you need to have beams supporting, right? You need to have beams supporting the floor above, which is a ceiling for the floor below, and a floor for the floor above, right? There was a halacha that they didn't want to dig holes into the walls of the Beis Hamikdash for the support beams. It's a pasuk actually. They built a wall for the Beis Hamikdash. Then they didn't go dig holes in that wall. It was not derech eretz. So what they did was, when they built the wall lechatchila, they built it like steps. The wall of the Beis Hamikdash, and according to the Rambam, we're really not sure which one it is, went up and in and up and in and up. So what they did was, on top of the first indentation, they placed the floor of the second story of Toyim, which would be the ceiling of the first. And above the second, there was again a step. So as you go up, because they didn't want to dig holes into the walls of the Beis Hamikdash to put in beams, so they made Yitziyim, it means plateaus, I guess. So the wall wasn't straight. It went up and in and up. The problem is, according to the Rambam, you don't have thick walls around the Beis Hamikdash. You have skinny walls around the Beis Hamikdash. So I'm not sure exactly where these Yitziyim were. But the bottom line is, even though the Rambam holds, what did he call it? 6 walls and 5 spaces, there somehow was in one of those walls room for this business called Yitziyim. Okay? And the Rambam now describes it. Yitziyim. Yitziyim means, I guess, plateaus, shelves. Circumvented the Beis Hamikdash around the wall of the Mesibah. The lowest room was 5. And the ceiling above it was 6, because the wall went up and in. The middle floor was 6. The plateau, the shelf above it was 7. And the upper one was 7. There were these 3 plateaus, circumventing the Beis on all 3 sides. This is a whole new thing. This is a whole new thing. And again, this v'chein in this Rambam can drive the biggest Gedolei Yisrael mad. Because there's no continuity between what was before and what was after. I just told you what the Yitziyim were. And it's in your picture, the middle of your picture. You see? That's how it looked. So, this is an outer wall. This is the wall of the Beis Hamikdash. Because they didn't want to bore holes in the walls of the Beis Hamikdash to put in the beams to support the floor of the higher Toyim, they just simply made the wall slowly become narrow as it rose. Okay? The picture is so hard to understand. But then the Rambam says something different. That's here. You see how this looks? This design goes in and out. You see how it goes in and out, in and out, in and out? The Rambam decided that the Yitziyim on the 3 sides, which are this picture, and the way the front wall is made to shape, are both based on the same psukim. I don't know how, you ask me what doesn't make any sense. I don't know how these 2 things ever became cousins, let alone brothers. But the Rambam connects the Yitziyim idea, which is on the 3 sides, and the fact that he holds that the front wall of the Beis Hamikdash wasn't straight. It was out and in, out and in, out and in, all the way till the top. And that's what he says now. V'chein, similarly, all around, on all 4 sides, the outermost wall of the Beis Hamikdash from the bottom to the top, kach hoyo, that's how it was. Amma achas cholok. 1 amma was flat. V'roivet sholish. And amma means, flat means indented. Roivet means a row was 3 ammas that was out. V'amma cholok, and an amma was in. V'roivet sholish, and 3 was out. Ad l'mayla, all the way till the top. Nimtza haruvdim ukafim l'ksalim. When you looked around the Beis Hamikdash, the stone wasn't straight. It was in and then out. In an amma, out 3. 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 Now, if you have any mathematical chush, every 20 ammas is going to have 5 of those. Right? In an amma, out 3 is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. So 100 ammas should account for should account for 25 of those. Problem is, 6 amas are under the ground. So that throws off the cheshbon. But again, what to me is curious is that Rambam has the psukim in Malachim about the Mitziim, and he takes two totally separate ideas, and he joins them together with this word v'chein. And the point is, the outer wall of the Beis Hamikdash wasn't straight. That's how it comes out. The outside wall of the Beis Hamikdash wasn't straight. On the inside of the 3 sides, it went in. And the outermost wall, it went in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. The Rambam learns both of those things that to me are totally separate in Yonim from the same pasuk. Ve'obein kol revid v'revid amma v'revid ha'elyon ha'yorech v'amma. Aber amas, the highest revid was 4 amas. Okay, we're done for today. I think Sunday night is Hayov, right? And someone from the Sheikh Chabad makes always a big event. Am I correct? So we'll be here again on Monday, Mitzvah Hashem. Monday and Tuesday. Thank you for coming. A guten Shabbos. Ja, so das Teve.